Zdeno Chara gave Max Pacioretty a concussion, Bertuzzi and Moore went to court, and Sean Avery's actions against Brodeur got him an NHL rule carrying his name. Here are NHL stars who hated each other. Number 9. Zdeno Chara and Max Pacioretty. The enduring rivalry between the Boston Bruins and Montreal Canadiens tends to influence those on both sides, regardless of their team affiliation. This was evident when Zdeno Chara, the defensive anchor for Boston, and Max Pacioretty, Montreal's top forward, found themselves in a heated moment. On March 8, 2011, Chara delivered a particularly harsh hit on Pacioretty, resulting in a concussion and fractured vertebra for the Canadiens player.
Side of the zone. Oh, Pacioretty!
The impact of the hit went beyond the usual intensity of hockey, triggering animosity among the teams and their fan bases, and even prompting a police investigation. However, over time, Chara and Pacioretty have managed to reconcile and mend their relationship. Number 8. Todd Bertuzzi and Steve Moore. Rarely do NHL rivalries escalate to legal proceedings, but the disturbing incident that unfolded on March 8, 2004, between Todd Bertuzzi and Steve Moore is an exception.
Grabs his shoulder, having a little chat with him, grabs his sweater, gives him a whack, and piling on is that rainy collision, and everybody's...
In the midst of a tumultuous and brawl-filled game between the Colorado Avalanche and the Vancouver Canucks, Bertuzzi took the ice with a clear intention to instigate a fight. He targeted Moore, who had previously injured Marcus Naslund, and despite Moore's attempts to skate away, Bertuzzi launched a brutal attack from behind. The punch and subsequent forceful impact left Moore with 3 fractured vertebrae, abruptly ending his NHL career. In the aftermath, Bertuzzi faced criminal charges and became entangled in a lengthy civil suit with Moore. The legal battles persisted for years until the civil suit was ultimately settled out of court in 2014. Number 7. Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin. Since being selected first overall in 2005 and 2004, respectively, both Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin have been constantly compared by the media and NHL fans.
Ovechkin with a little bit of a rub, but then Crosby gave him a shot. What Ovechkin did really wasn't out of the ordinary.
Adding to the rarity, both players have remained with the same teams throughout their entire careers, adding a special element to each Penguins versus Capitals matchup. This rivalry has delivered memorable playoff series, and both players have celebrated lifting the Stanley Cup. Crosby and Ovechkin, both destined for first-ballot Hall of Fame induction, have the potential for Ovechkin to become the all-time leading goal scorer in NHL history. While they acknowledge they aren't best friends, both players have emphasized the mutual respect they share on and off the ice. As 2 prominent faces of the league, the era defined by the Crosby-Ovechkin rivalry in the NHL is entering its final chapters and is sure to be remembered as one of the greatest in the sport's history. Number 6. Maurice Richard and Ted Lindsay. Maurice Rocket. Richard, renowned for his iconic clashes with Mr. Hockey Gordie Howe, maintained a long-standing rivalry with fellow NHL Hall of Famer Ted Lindsay, which persisted until Richard's death in 2000. Both known for their aggressive and fiery nature, Richard and Lindsay would frequently set aside their star status to engage in physical confrontations when they crossed paths.
Ted Lindsay drives in to score, even while he was being bodied.
Lindsay further fueled the animosity by publicly expressing the opinion that Richard deserved a lifetime suspension for his involvement in a violent incident against Boston, which triggered the Richard riots. It's even suggested that later in life, the two encountered each other on a beach, exchanging intense glares from a distance. Number 5. Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux. The pairing of Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux stands as one of the most iconic duos in hockey history. Widely considered 2 of the greatest players ever, they dominated the NHL throughout the 80s and 90s. While Mario Lemieux's career was marred by injuries and a hiatus due to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, leaving fans speculating about his full potential, it's generally acknowledged that catching Gretzky's all-time point total would have been a challenging feat. Despite spending their careers on different teams, with Lemieux in Pittsburgh and Gretzky primarily in the Western Conference, the 2 legends rarely faced off against each other. However, their collaboration on Team Canada during the 1987 Canada Cup is etched in hockey history as a highlight.
Into the rinse, fakes it, moves in deeper to Lemieux. He scores! Mario Lemieux!
Lemieux has described it as the best time of his career, seeding the natural chemistry he shared with Gretzky. Together, they formed a formidable partnership, contributing to several crucial goals. Number 4, Chris Draper and Claude Lemieux. The bitter rivalry between the Detroit Red Wings and the Colorado Avalanche in the late 90s remains one of the most intense in NHL history. Both teams, boasting future Hall of Fame players, consistently battled for supremacy in the Western Conference. Their matchups were marked by bench-clearing brawls and even goalie fights, featuring legendary netminders like Patrick Roy and Mike Vernon. However, no single incident encapsulated the animosity more than Claude Lemieux's infamous check from behind on Chris Draper. The pivotal hit occurred in Game 6 of the 1996 Western Conference Finals, a series ultimately won by the Avalanche, leading them to a Stanley Cup triumph over the Florida Panthers. Draper endured significant injuries, including a broken jaw, nose, and fractured orbital bone. In the following year, Draper's teammate Darren McCarty sought retribution in the now infamous turtling incident, unleashing a barrage of punches on Lemieux. The hit on Draper remains one of the dirtiest in NHL history, and even today, the matchups between Colorado and Detroit carry an extra layer of intensity and rivalry. If you've made it this far, leave a like and subscribe, and let's jump to the top 3. Number 3, Grabovski and Sergei Kostitsyn. The reasons behind the strained relationship between Mikhail Grabovski and Sergei Kostitsyn, both hailing from Belarus and former teammates, remain unclear. Speculation includes the possibility of issues related to their shared Belarusian heritage, or perhaps their involvement in a heated NHL rivalry when Grabovski played for the Toronto Maple Leafs and Kostitsyn was with the Montreal Canadiens. Despite various conjectures, both players have openly acknowledged that they have never had a particularly favorable opinion of each other. One notable incident in 2009 added fuel to their animosity when Kostitsyn took a hit at Grabovski during a game, resulting in a 10-minute misconduct penalty.
He has become public enemy number 1. He wants another piece. He skates over trying to get Kostitsyn.
Subsequently, in the following game between their respective teams, both players had to be restrained to prevent a physical altercation. While their on-ice clashes have subsided over the years, the tension between Grabovski and Kostitsyn has lingered, often manifesting through remarks made in the media. Number 2, Sean Avery and Martin Brodeur. For those who can recall the era of the notorious agitator Sean Avery, there's a notable and amusing playoff episode involving his brief feud with New Jersey Devils goaltender Martin Brodeur. In the 2008 playoff series between the New York Rangers and the Devils, the Rangers attempted to unsettle the Hall of Fame goalie, with Avery taking matters into his own hands in a rather unconventional way. During a power play, instead of the typical screening tactic, Avery turned around to face Brodeur directly and waved his stick in the goalie's face to obstruct his view.
Call it antics. Call it effective in the end. This is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
Remarkably, the tactic seemed effective, leading to the Rangers winning the series 4-1. Brodeur appeared visibly bothered by Avery's antics and notably refused to shake hands with him after the series concluded. The NHL responded by implementing a rule, now known as the Sean Avery Rule, prohibiting players from waving their sticks in the faces of goaltenders. Despite 14 years passing since that infamous game, the bitterness between Brodeur and Avery endures, and it's safe to say that Christmas cards are not exchanged between these two hockey rivals. Number 1, Connor McDavid and Auston Matthews. The potential rivalry between Connor McDavid and Auston Matthews has been dubbed by some as the modern-day equivalent of Gretzky and Lemieux. Both players have been dominant forces in the NHL since entering the league, adding an extra layer of excitement for Canadian hockey fans as McDavid plays for the Edmonton Oilers and Matthews for the Toronto Maple Leafs. However, an interesting twist is that the two superstars are actually good friends off the ice. The rivalry is somewhat hindered by the fact that Toronto and Edmonton belong to different conferences, resulting in limited regular season matchups.
McDavid out of the box and to the attack. He'll swing through. Connor McDavid score!
While the possibility of a face-off in a Stanley Cup Finals is not out of the question, it hasn't materialized yet. The all-Canadian division implemented during the COVID-19 bubble offered a glimpse of McDavid and Matthews competing against each other, but it has yet to reach the intensity seen in the Crosby-Ovechkin rivalry. Despite their friendship and shared off-season training, McDavid and Matthews are often compared, and their performances continue to captivate hockey fans. Until a playoff showdown between the Oilers and the Maple Leafs materializes, the rivalry may resemble more of a Gretzky and Lemieux type relationship, characterized by mutual respect and admiration. Nevertheless, these two stars represent the promising future of the NHL, ensuring that the league remains in good hands for years to come. If you're still in for more NHL content, click the video on the screen, but before you do so, leave a like, subscribe, and comment with your favorite rivalries.